So there's a news story out that cars are vulnerable to wireless hacking.
Yeah, this was on Good Morning America. This was on 60 Minutes last night. This is big news. This is going to make our listeners out there a little bit nervous. We wanted to call in an expert on a case here. It's Brian Krallis. He's a cybersecurity expert, and he's going to chime in on how we can use this information without geek speak and really protect ourselves, right, Brian?
Dumb it down for us, Brian.
Well, I don't know if I can help you protect yourself. Like I predicted, we talked earlier, it's going to get worse before it gets better. But fortunately, we're getting more and more attention. I think what happened, right, you think when we talk about things going viral, our entire kind of tech society has gone viral. And we've gotten to a point where we had all these great ideas and we've built all these great inventions, but we really didn't think about how they could be used against us. And now we're kind of having to come back to that concept, and we're going to have a lot of catch-up to do over the next couple of years.
Okay, for those who didn't see 60 Minutes last night with Leslie Stahl's piece or the piece that was on GMA, really explain to our listeners what's happening.
So basically, there's several things that hackers can do. Really, anything can be hacked. And so if you have a car, most of us, in essence, are driving a computer right now. So let's just say you have Bluetooth and you're getting Wi-Fi on your car. Well, now they could hack your Wi-Fi and see what you're looking at, see what you're scanning, the passengers are scanning while you're in your car. But they could also potentially take over the car in the sense of they could, some cars, they could accelerate it, they could decelerate it, they could make your car turn off when you don't want it to turn on, when you want it to turn on.
That's scary.
Pretty much anything that's computer controlled, which now is probably 90% of a car, they could potentially hack and control.
Yeah, I mean, this is technology that's out there. And one of the things, I saw this the other day, where, you always hear don't text and drive, and they're trying to make a lot of the texting and driving illegal, right?
Of course.
And I'm like, how are they going to catch you? What, are you going to have your cell phone down there? No, police are going to have these technology that they can tell whether you're texting your car. It's like the technology for all this stuff, it's crazy. So, and you're exactly right, Brian. They thought about all the cool stuff, but they didn't teach us how to protect themselves. It's kind of like the credit card companies that are out there. All this information is getting hacked from all these, a year ago, Target, Staples, a lot of these big companies that are out there, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're coming up with new technology, but it seems like the hackers are staying ahead of the technology.
And I don't even know if the hackers are ahead of the technology. I think the problem is we've had so many people, and it's been great for our economy to a certain degree, create new apps or create new technology, and some people are doing it kind of, in their computer spare time, where you got 19-year-olds becoming billionaires creating these technologies, but they may not be cybersecurity experts. They may not be how to secure the back end of what they're doing. They're creating these great inventions and these great ideas, but they didn't really necessarily know how to create the entire product. And that's kind of what we're facing with right now.
And if you saw the report last, did you just see 60 Minutes? You said you didn't see it last night.
I didn't see it, but I could imagine Rob. Rob's sitting in the car next to you. Rob's hacking me. He's saying, all of a sudden you get a message on your phone. What's up?
Okay, you have on 60 Minutes piece last night. It was Leslie Stahl. She's the correspondent for 60 Minutes. She was driving a car. The researcher had a laptop into in his car. They were able to turn her windshield wipers on, sound the horn, deactivate the brakes, and she was unable to stop her own car.
That's so dangerous on so many levels. That's scary. That's it. I'm not driving anymore.
And, if you think about it, one of the other problems that we face, especially with a car, is that technology groups are using experts for each entity. So you might have one group doing the Bluetooth, one group's doing the brakes, one group's doing the radio, one group. So, you have all these different technology groups coming together, and there's not really like a cohesive back end to support all that security needed to make sure nobody can kind of break in. And to their probably maybe credit, they didn't really think about that. They were just creating invention for human beings, not thinking about the ramifications that other people would want to see people hurt.
I don't think it has much of an impact on us civilians necessarily. I think it's when they start targeting our high-level officials and stuff like that. I think that's when it becomes really dangerous, because no one wants to hack me.
You never know.
Well, you would think that. I've said it before. I don't think I'm interesting enough for somebody to want to get all of my. I just don't. Yeah. I don't see it. Right. What do you want? Okay, you can see my records.
Yeah, Brian, I mean, last week the big news, and I'm sure that you were being interviewed all over the place, was on the Anthem Healthcare.
Yes.
I mean,
And to answer the conversation I heard earlier, there's 3 reasons why they want healthcare information. And I think what you're going to see, healthcare is actually more expensive on the black market, that data, than even stolen credit card data. It goes for about 10 times more because, number one, healthcare fraud, you guys talked about that. It takes a lot longer and it's a lot harder to prove healthcare fraud than it is, for example, using somebody else's credit card, which they can find almost within minutes. The second thing is that they have your social, they have your address, they have your income, they have everything they need for identity fraud. So that's the second component. And the third component, and I actually think I kind of attribute this back to the Sony hack, and I think of the Amy, I forget her last name, who left, the executive. I actually think that's a bad precedent because I think what's going to happen is now if they can start tying your healthcare data, let's say to certain executives, now they're in a position to potentially blackmail. Let's just say you have somebody who's an executive of a company, they're married, and you find out that they were just treated for an STD, right? Now you can potentially threaten that person either with money or with making decision making. Say, I release this embarrassing data on you if you don't do what I say.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing, the state-sponsored terrorism. That's what they're after, control over the society.
Well, and that's one of the things we saw in the Sony hack with the Angelina Jolie, the Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise was supposed to play Steve Jobs. They were talking about incomes. They were talking about back and forth. They were talking about President Obama. There were so many things in that. So that's pertinent information that they thought would bring down Sony. And actually it didn't bring them down. Their stock has started to go back up. But, I mean, you're exactly right. I've never thought about that. You get a high-ranking official that has health care, and imagine coming out, hey, the president has STD.
Or cancer. Well, I mean, let's talk about that. What if somebody's got cancer?
News.
Yeah, right.
If you control the news organization, if you had an executive in your pocket, you could control in what the society would hear or see. And
is this what's happening with Brian Williams? Maybe someone hacked into his health care. No?
No, but I'll tell you, the one that is J.P. Morgan Chase's CEO, he's all over the place. He's very respected, Jamie Dimon. He did not want to come out and tell everybody that he was being diagnosed for prostate cancer. And so you can see this. And I never thought about it from that angle. But, you got all these terrorist groups, internal, external, across the world, across the United States, and all that. And you're exactly right. Brian, you've been a fabulous guest. I mean, this is going to be a big topic all the time hitting the news. And we'd love to have you back. And where's everybody find you? Tell us a little bit about your company.
So I work with SurMD, that's SurMD. We specialize in cybersecurity for healthcare, HIPAA-compliant security. Basically, we have some mechanisms to put it on the cloud that creates a way that nobody can decipher the data, so somewhat unhackable. And so that's what we do. We work with hospitals and doctors and protecting healthcare data.
Yeah, so this big thing on Anthem last week, this was a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
It's a huge deal. And this is where you're going to, like I said, 10 times more on the black market. Healthcare data goes for 10 times more than a stolen credit card.
That's crazy.
And that's somewhat eye-opening to people, but that's the reality, and that's why you're going to see more and more of this specifically after healthcare.
That is eye-opening.
Did Blue Cross Blue Shield just get hacked?
That was it.
That's
the Anthem is their parent company. Brian, thank you. How's everybody find you? Again, give us your email, your website.
It's SurMD, that's SurMD.com.
Hey, Brian, I want to tell you one last thing. Last time you were on the show, we were talking about password protection, and I announced on live radio that my password is password. I have since changed it. So you'll be
very proud of you.
Thank you.
Password 123.
She is a big girl now.
I will sleep well tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Bye, Brian.
Thanks, guys. Bye.